Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining us today. As you can see, we have a guest. We are so lucky today because we're joined by Ephraim. I'm just gonna read his bio out because I want to do it as much justice as I possibly can. So Ephraim is an author, he's a speaker and a project management professional. He's worked in Africa, in the Middle East, and as well as in Australia. He's also the founder of the Multicultural Professional Bridge, which is a non-profit organization that, of course, facilitates inclusion and participation of migrants in the workforce in Australia. He's also written a lot of books, as I've said. I have a couple of them here with me. He's written a handbook for migrant youth. He's also written The Voices from Home. And then, not to be biased, he's also written this book, which is really my favorite. Yeah, this book has been very instrumental to my own career path, and it's called The Handbook for Migrants: The Good, the Challenges, and the Lessons. So don't worry, I got you guys, because I'm going to have a link for all these books on the description, and please make sure to grab one. And there are different stores, of course, that are going to be included, and you're free to, of course, grab any of these books. So thank you so much for joining us, Ephraim, today. How are you today?
I'm okay, Stella. My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I remember when we met a while back, and I'd come to one of the many sessions that you hold to help migrants, of course, get employment in Australia. And I attended that one session, and I think after that, just one session, I actually got my job, which was my first time working in a professional environment in Australia. So I'm very entitled, and that's why I thought that bringing you in here today, especially because I get a lot of questions from my peers, from people who, of course, watch my channel on how they can find professional jobs, especially after finishing their studies. So I cannot say how thankful I am, because I know you're quite busy. It took us a while to organize this, and I am very, very grateful. So thank you for coming.
My pleasure, Stella. And just before we go on, I still remember that day you were at that event.
Yeah.
And it was remarkable the way you stood up and took charge of wanting to know more.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised that it's led you somewhere. Thank you very much for the acknowledgement.
Absolutely. So today we're just going to jump straight into it. And one thing that I want to ask you is that a lot of times, and for me, one thing that also puts me back when I ask people for advice on how to find a job, is people always gravitate towards, oh, write a good CV and write a good cover letter. But I'm sure all of you can relate to how many rejections or even no replies that you come across. So one thing I want us to really dwell into today is, beyond the cover letter and this resume, what else can you do to actually get yourself to the door?
Yeah, thank you, Stella. And really, you started on a very serious question, because at the end of the day, that is what matters. That's sustainable employment. And you're right, it's more than writing a CV, it's more than writing a cover letter. After all, for a good job, we are having thousands of people chasing one or two jobs. So what will get you across the door is not just how good your CV is.
Absolutely.
But it's very important to get across the door. So how do you get across the door? And I think I'll just highlight four major aspects in a very short way. Number one, I would say it's very important to learn your communication. It is not enough to write a CV, put it through, and that's all. No. Communicate. Show yourself to be interested in the job. Find out about the job. Call someone if you have to. Network. Ask about the issues behind the issues. Because when companies are looking for someone to employ, they want to employ someone that will fit in. So find out what it is about this job, what will get me in, beyond the CV, beyond the cover letter. So communication is very important. The second aspect I really want to highlight is that area of your qualifications. Yes, they will want to ask for a minimum qualification, but many times companies want a bit more. What can you include in your skill set that will differentiate you?
Absolutely.
Every employer, I've been on the other side when I had to employ someone, and the question that comes, especially in this environment, how are you different? What can you do to help us on this job? So your qualification has to be well articulated. It's not just putting the BSc. What makes that job to be attractive? Is it a special toolkit? Is it an IT skill? Is there a software? So your qualification, your skills you bring on the table is very important. And finally, and I think we'll come back to this later, I'm sure that will keep coming up, is network. It's hard to say, even on TV sometimes, and from some of the background we come from, we think it's negative to know someone. It is not.
It is everything.
It's
rather.
not negative to know someone. And we're not saying you do what is unethical.
Yeah.
We're not saying to go and buy yourself a job. No.
Yeah, no.
But just make yourself likable. Make yourself in a situation that when you get into that interview room, somebody feels this is someone I want on my team.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure we'll keep talking around these things, but again, just to summarize it, your communication skills is very important. It's not only when you're on the job, before you get on the job. Number two, your qualification and skill set is not just about paper. It's what you add to bring value to the job.
Absolutely.
And then finally, your network. Work your network to work for you.
Absolutely. I think among the things that you've mentioned on, one that totally resonates with me is that other than the experience, what else can you bring to the table? And for me, I remember when I was a student, I did a lot of volunteership in the university. So as you guys know, I probably mentioned a lot of times, is that I studied at Curtin. And one of the things that I did, I joined the Curtin volunteers. So when I graduated, I not only just had my certificate, I also had the Curtin extra certificate for volunteers. And I know whenever during interviews and I have to sell my skills, I also say that bit of it, because it shows leadership skills, because I was one of the Curtin leaders. So leadership skills and all that, of course, and I know for sure that has helped me stand out from, of course, my other colleagues who basically just had time to just go to school and work. So I know, of course, it can be stressing, but stressful to study and to work and to also be involved in extracurricular activities, but it certainly pays off. It certainly pays off. So the other thing that you've talked about, communication. So I know a lot of students or a lot of migrants, English is not their first language. So how do you overcome the limitation about communication, particularly?
Again, Stella, this is not a quick fix. It's not a one answer fit all. We have to understand the different contexts. But generally, yes, communication. People sometimes want to work with someone that they can communicate with, someone that they can understand.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, like you said, this may be a little bit of a challenge for migrants because you're coming from a non-speaking, English-speaking background.
Yeah.
And even if you are English-speaking, sometimes our accent,
native, yeah.
And it's not something to discuss easily because we cannot, and I strongly preach and actually I'm vocal about the need for us not to change who we are.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, I don't believe in changing who you are, but you have to integrate. You have to get into the system. So help yourself to be equipped with more communication skills, especially knowing your background. For example, for me, many years ago, I got involved in Toastmasters, which is a communication development program. Now, I'm not saying everybody have to do that. So just do whatever you need to do. I remember you said something earlier on that it could be stressful. It could involve some work. But Stella, if you need something, you will do all you can to get it.
Absolutely.
So do the work. try, of course, don't try to be plastic. Don't try to want to impress unnecessarily, but learn how to communicate. Learn the language of your industry. Learn the language of business world. Address people the way they want to be addressed.
Absolutely.
So those are some of the skills that we need. And so there are programs that will help you develop the skill, but not doing anything about it is setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, do something about it. You mentioned about, you said Toastmasters. Is that still available for people to explore at this time? Yeah?
It is a very popular program. It's global. Like I said, it did work for me because what the program will help you to do is to learn on your feet, is to put you sometimes on the deep end in a very conducive environment, in a non-judgmental setting. So it's better to do the hard work in that environment before you get into the real setting. So I strongly advocate for that.
Absolutely. So very good tip there. The other thing I want us to talk about is that a lot of times, of course, you've gotten yourself to the door, but the other thing is that I hear always is that, do you have local experience? Do you have Australian experience? And what most of us ask ourselves, if you don't give me the opportunity, how am I going to get local experience? So how do you think we can go about overcoming this major challenge, local experience? Yeah.
I like the way you said major challenge.
Yes, which is, I think, is one of the biggest.
I wish I have a simple solution.
Yeah.
But it's something that we have to overcome. It's been on for years. And I tell you, some people are getting it right, you know. And I did include that in that particular book, that it's very important to start early. I would strongly advise, even before you leave your country, if you still have the opportunity, start from there. Articulate the experience you have then that will help you in your aspired job, in the job you need to grow into. Articulate them. Don't just leave it to chance. Still, one thing I found out is that some of us are not ready to do the work. Some of us are not serious with excellence. We want to blame, but we don't want to work. So experience is still possible, and it's like a chicken and egg situation. Yes, how can you get experience without work? And how can you get work without experience? Volunteering is one key. My first job many years ago came through volunteering. I went for a training, the person training me, I approached the person. Again, you have to be ready to go out of your comfort zone. Ask questions, you know, talk. You know, as easy as it sounds, Stella, sometimes people don't talk. And they expect to be heard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes people don't ask and they expect to receive. And people are nice. Locals are nice. We know that. We don't want to generalize. People are ready to help. But if they don't know what you need, if they don't know that you are somebody that can get out of their comfort zone and ask, how would they give you? So find out where you can volunteer. It's one easy way. Volunteer. I know for some international students, there are constraints even to find volunteer because of PR and others. But there is always a way out. Where there is a will, there is a way. And there are people ready to help. Like you mentioned, my organization, MPBs, is ready to help to connect you to different organizations that can help you fill that gap. That's why we're a bridge.
Absolutely.
We want to bridge the gaps.
All right. So for somebody who wants, of course, to volunteer and wants help from MPB, that's the Multicultural Professional Bridge. Yeah, I know it by its full name.
Yeah.
How can they get in contact with you, or in that regard, or with the organization to receive that particular help with volunteering?
We are on the website, social media, and Stella, feel free to later on, you can put this on the description of this video, our contact address and email. Just send out a mail. Again, we cannot overpromise. We cannot solve the whole problem in a day. But we have connections, we have networks, we have partners, and even within MPB, we're beginning to create chance for volunteers.
Yeah.
Because one of the key thing that volunteering will give to you is that local experience.
Absolutely.
Is referencing. That have not come up before, but I must say this very seriously, Stella. I'm sure you are aware. This place, they value references a lot.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you don't get your reference right, it can be what will make you not get a job.
Yeah.
So I tell people, get your referencing right. Make sure you ask the person who is going to give you a reference that they will give you a good reference. So volunteering can help you to get referencing experience. Some of them can even get you a job when you finish your volunteer. You can, like the organization I told you where I volunteered. I was there going to the office, just putting in my best. Again, I must say here, your attitude during volunteering means a lot.
Yeah.
If you are doing volunteering with the mind that I'm doing you a favor after all,
I'm not getting paid.
I'm not getting paid. You don't want to do it like a job. You come anytime you like. You are shabby. You're not professional. Hey, it won't take you anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's very important you put your 101% in anything you do, including the other things we've discussed today. Hey, I must say that there's hope, guys.
Yeah.
There is hope. Just do the right thing.
Yeah. Talking about putting your best foot forward and doing your best, I remember one of the things that stood out with me when I came for one of the sessions is that you were talking about sometimes we have to do the sort of taking a step back. We have to take a step back from the career path that we were doing back at home. And you might find some of us doing some of the blue-collar jobs, maybe working as drivers, working in cafeterias and all that. And you were talking about still doing your very best at that job because you never know what might come up. That cafeteria might need an accountant, or your boss might know somewhere where they need somebody. And of course, if you're a good employee, he's going to recommend you, or you might find an opportunity. So I totally agree with the fact that you said you need to really put your best foot forward wherever you are, really.
Yes, Stella, I cannot overemphasize that, because one thing I found out, having worked in this place, both in the government, private, and community space, is that generally people are not as serious. People just want to eat their cake and have it. You want to get a job, but you don't want to develop the best character at work.
Yeah.
You want to be recommended for a job, but you are not punctual.
Yeah, absolutely.
You take, like we said earlier on, volunteering, after all, they don't pay me. Attitude, I know this sounds like a jingle or cliche, but your attitude determines your altitude.
Absolutely.
So if you don't get the attitude right, nobody wants to employ a burden. Nobody wants to employ someone that will be a pain.
Yep.
So the prospective employer is looking for someone that will make things easier for them.
Very well said. So the other thing I know, reading your book that I came across a lot and I thought was really key was networking, and of course we have to talk about it today. So how do you network? Because I always hear that people are not, like what you say in your book is that when an employer is looking for a job, is first going to ask from within, who do you know can do this job? And then if they don't find them, then they're gonna ask their friends whether they know anyone that would like to recommend. So, and of course for migrants that becomes a challenge because you can only know so many people as opposed to somebody who was born here, bred here. So of course they've already developed their network. So how do you go about networking?
Yeah, it's not rocket science, but there are some principles involved. Number one, come out of your comfort zone. Don't live in your own small bubble.
Yeah.
Don't perpetuate the whole narrative of not being inclusive. We come here as Africans, for example, we only meet with Africans. We come here as migrants, we only meet with migrants. I've seen this, Stella, sometimes even when we go for networking events, many times the tendency is to go and start talking with somebody you know already.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost natural, but
Yeah.
we have to consciously alter or shift that behavior. When you go for networking, plan it, make up your mind what you want to achieve for the evening. You know, do it like a project. Plan a project, execute it, review it, so that next time you do better. So when you go on networking, if you can, look for who is going to be there that day.
Yeah.
And if you can, ask for ahead some contacts. You know, because many times people also warm up to people they know already. So start the process, print business cards. I know sometimes this is not an easy one for new people to do. They see themselves as new, they see themselves as they don't know anything, they are distracted. Print business cards. And I know business card, you say, how can I print business card when I don't have a job or a business? No, just print it, put your name and contact there. Find something to leave with someone. But I must make this point. Don't rush to leave the card first. People get turned off when the only thing you want to do is to leave a card with me. Many times as you leave, they throw the card in the bin. Try to know the person. Try to like the person. Try to at least be interested in the person. I said this in the book. Even the CEO of Woodside has a need.
Yeah.
Everybody has a need for friendship.
Yeah.
So try to be a friend before you can ask for a favor.
Yeah.
Try to be a friend before you can ask for a favor. Again, like I told, yes, BHP CEO is difficult to assess. I just use that as an example, as an extreme. But you may have a manager who will give you a job, who is from BHP, having a drink in a place you went to. You know, he's a human being. So be interested in him first as part of your networking. And if you like, don't ask for anything that day. Don't think that if you don't ask, it's lost forever.
Yeah.
The opportunity will come.
I know you talk about it in the book, and you said if you sow a seed today, you can harvest the fruit on the same day. So give it time and try to make more connections. Try to send an email and check up and find their need, literally.
Thank you very much. You read the book.
I did. I can certainly say that this is one book that anybody who's out there needs to grab. You need to grab it, and it has opened for me my door in the employment scenario, and I'm sure it's going to go ahead to help so many people. So other than, of course, we've spoken about networking, and I know the whole process, as we sum up, is that it can be quite discouraging. You know,
could be daunting.
I have met people who have sent 101 resumes, and you still continue to send at least 10 on a daily basis. How do you stay positive? How do you stay positive in the whole process?
Wow, Stella, again, I must acknowledge you for asking the right question, because this comes back to the real thing. You know, people go through stuff. We're talking about this now, migrants or people who keep looking for work. And to be quite fair, let's put in a balance. There are locals that are also looking for a job.
Yeah.
There are locals that are also struggling. So we're not just making it a migrant issue, but we know our primary audience for this conversation are migrants. And I just want to say that's why that book, I call it the whole life experience, because our lives is not just about job. Your value, I know how important it is to be gainfully employed, but please take care of other aspects of your life. Stay positive. You know, if the job is not coming, volunteer in a not-for-profit organization. If a job, now you saw me talking about running migrant professional bridge. I must say here that I don't have everything sorted out.
Yeah.
Not yet. I've not arrived. I'm not a millionaire.
Yeah.
I still have needs.
Yeah.
But one of the secrets of keeping positive, of keeping afloat, is you contributing to society.
Absolutely.
It's you helping someone even when you have your own needs. So one of the secrets that gives you, or that gives us, Stella, is that even when you are going for an opportunity, it develops your confidence. Because many times I discover one secret is out there. Sometimes people that already have jobs are the ones getting the new jobs. And you know one of the reasons why they do? When they are going for interviews, they are confident. They feel that if I don't get this job, I have one already.
Yeah.
Develop that confidence for yourself, even if you don't have a job.
Yeah.
And one way is to be active. Volunteer.
Yeah.
Contribute to anywhere, even if you're a religious organization, contribute to people's lives. Don't put a chip on your shoulder walking around as if everything is over. People will never employ someone like that. So find a means to keep your smile.
Absolutely.
I know it's hard, I know it could be challenging, but there is always a way out. And I'm hoping that people will connect with the right people, move with the right people, move with the right crowd. Don't move with people that will so put you down, that will make you feel as if everything is over. And this comes back to when you talk about survivor jobs. We used to call them that. Almost every migrant, one time or the other, would do a job that they did not bargain for. And I always tell people, please, we don't run anybody down. It takes courage for you to be doing a job that you don't really like, but you're doing it either to survive as a family or to put food on the table. That is so courageous. But please don't accept less than what you are carved out for.
Yeah. So you have to keep on looking.
Keep on looking. Find time to do it. Because many times you may be so swallowed into that space that you no longer pursue your dream. I know some people will say, will I eat my dream? I need food on the table. Fair enough. But your dream will give you fulfillment for life.
Absolutely. Very well said. So I think the ultimate advice that I'm getting from this is that, of course, keep pursuing your dreams. Never give up. Where there's a will, there's a way. And also the fact that talk to people, network, okay? And as you network, of course, learn the art of doing it. Do it as a project. Review after you've attended a networking event. Volunteer for those who don't have any opportunities, and as well as work with other organizations such as the Multicultural Professional Bridge to help you find the volunteering activities and also to help you have a good resume and a CV in order to get you to the door. So thank you so much, guys, for watching, and thank you so much, Ephraim, for joining us today.
My pleasure.
I have a good feeling that we'll have you again another time, of course, because there's so many things to explore, and reading your books, I found you are, of course, the best fit for this interview with me, because your ideas are just, eye-opening. And thank you so much for all you've done.
Thank you, Stella, for having me. I just want to say that I'm not far away. I'm one of you. Please connect with people. Don't feel that you're alone. And there are people ready to support you along the journey. And Stella, thank you for all you're doing.
Absolutely. It's been my pleasure.
No worries.
So thank you, guys. And I'll remember to, of course, check out the description, find out the books where you can purchase the books. Also, don't forget to follow Multicultural Professional Bridge on Facebook and other social networks. And we'll see you guys on my next one. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.